What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Phaithful Fanatic. I'm your host at Scotty Drown. You see me. It's not my normal co-host, but it is a face you're going to be seeing more regularly here on the DSM-Media channel. Dylan is out sick today, so I got my buddy Cole Thompson to jump on the show with me this morning. We're going to be diving into Sixers, obviously the big win last night, Phillies, their slow start, and then we're going to talk a little bit of the Haason Reddick trade and the Jordan Mailata extension. But we got plenty to get through here. Happy Friday, Cole. Welcome to the show, man. And how are you doing, my friend? It's great to see you back here.
Yeah, man. I mean, last time I was on the DSM-Media show, I think I was like 18 and, still in my first year of college. And now, I got a few weeks left and I'll be getting ready for my senior year. So a lot has changed over the last few years, but it's definitely back. It feels like I'm back at home. It feels like I'm back home. So.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it feels great to have you back, man. I know you got busy. You're big into lacrosse. You're big into sports all around, and you do got the college and school thing going on. I went through it myself.
Yeah.
I graduated from master's school last year, so I feel you, man. I feel you. It's going to be a big weight lifted off your shoulder once it's finally done. But you will find yourself like looking around like, because I'm sure, like, being in school, you're probably a really busy dude. Like, you probably stay really busy, stay interconnected with everybody. And, like, once it's over, just enjoy it, man. Just enjoy the busybodiness, the tasks, the goals, because after that, you're going to have to find them yourselves. They're not going to be set for you. And it's a little more self-starting after college, I would say, at least for myself, man. But definitely happy to have you back on the show, and congrats on finishing up school here shortly, my man. But
a little bit over a year. We got like a year and 4 weeks left, so
you're in the final stretch.
Enjoy it while it lasts. I mean, it is busy. Exactly. It keeps me very, very, very busy, but it's definitely a lot of fun too. A lot of fun.
No, exactly. You got to enjoy it for what it is, man. But happy Friday. We got some business to get to now, to tend to. Anybody that's out there watching, thank you for tuning in. Of course, hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Hit the like on the video. And be sure to share your thoughts in the comments here. We'll definitely get you involved in the show as the show goes on. But let's get to it, man. Let's talk about these Sixers first, because I'm really excited. I'm really juiced coming off this win last night against the Miami Heat. I don't know about you, Cole, but the Miami Heat, they have like a special place in my heart when it comes to the Sixers and me wanting the Sixers to beat them. Like, I just have this special, I don't want to call it hate, because I don't necessarily hate the Miami Heat. I more respect them in a sense. I respect Jimmy Butler, right? He gets on my damn nerves, but I respect him. I respect what he does in the postseason. Bam Adebayo down the line, right? I respect them. But they're annoying as hell, and they're a team that I want to put in the ground every single time that we play them. This was a huge game. So first things first, man, I just want to get your instant reaction off the game last night. Any thoughts you have around the Sixers kind of right now and Embiid returning, but then also just on the big win last night in itself.
I agree with you about the special, and I think it goes back to that Jimmy Butler. It's like one of those things that he should be here. We all wish he was here. He should be here. And
You're not lying.
It seems like the Heat just always, them and the Celtics, it's either them or the Celtics are always the one to get us. They're always the ones that get us. So anytime we beat the Heat, it definitely feels good. But, I mean, listen, having Embiid back is special in itself. He's top 3 player in the world. What his presence does on the floor is just undeniable.
Yeah.
But also, it brings Tyrese Maxey to another level. Tyrese Maxey is very good alone, but then you give him Joel Embiid, and it just brings his game to a whole nother level. Yeah. And, it just looked like last night, from what I was able to watch, that it just looked like what we expected this team to be this year and what they were before Embiid got hurt. I mean, the Sixers were in the 3 seed when Embiid got hurt. And obviously you lose Embiid and then we lost Maxey for a little bit. A slide is going to happen. But getting Embiid back, it looked like the Sixers, they were playing Sixers basketball the last few nights with the win over the Thunder and the win over the Heat. 2 close wins over 2 very good teams. And to be able to pull that out, Embiid, he looked a little bit better last night than he did against OKC.
Yeah.
It's going to take some time still for him. I'm happy they brought him back towards the end of the regular season to get him a little acclimated, but
it's huge.
Tyrese Maxey was huge last night. I mean, this Sixers team definitely has the ability to go on a run in the playoffs. And I mean, I try not to get my hopes up too much, but then you see them play like last night, and then you want to get your hopes up again.
I know, man. I know. And the biggest detractor of my hope, like me just letting the hope fully build up and me being all in, is the play-in tournament. Like, I need us to get out of that 8 seed. I need us to not play Boston first round. I want to check the standings here because I believe they may have adjusted a little bit. We're still in the 8 seed. But we're a half game back of Miami. And we're a full game back of Indiana in the 6 seed right now. So that's the big thing for me. Get out of the 8 seed. Like you said, it's key getting Embiid back like 2 weeks, 10 days before the regular season concludes. That way he gets those runs in. And like you said, he increased his minute total in this game from the game against OKC. And we should continue to see that happening. But I do think having Maxey back in this game versus that OKC game as well helps Embiid be able to integrate a little more gradually back into the game, right? Like having Maxey, that alternative 30-point scorer there, takes a little bit of the weight off of Joel's shoulders as he returns as well. So I agree with everything you said. They kind of balance each other out, and having both is obviously going to be key to what we're trying to do here. And the other guy I want to pinpoint here, man, he didn't have like the greatest game in the world throughout the game, but closed the game really strong. Kelly Oubre, man. I'm interested in your thoughts on Kelly Oubre because he's a polarizing figure, I feel like, because he's kind of one of my favorite players on the team. But then he will have his occasional stinker. Don't get me wrong. He'll have his occasional game where he shoots, 4 for 15 from the field or something, right? But I take it for what it is. He's on a minimum contract, man, and he's giving you big minutes in big crunch moments of games. So I'm interested on your thoughts of Kelly Oubre as a whole, because I haven't gotten to talk to you much this season.
Yeah. I love Kelly Oubre. I love him.
Yeah.
He's great for his role. Like you said, he's not going to sit there and be a world beater every night, and I don't expect him to be.
Exactly.
But when Kelly Oubre's on, he can take over a game, and we've seen him drop 30 points.
Yeah.
We've seen him drop 25 points. The guy can be lights out, especially from deep, which works really well with this Maxey and Embiid combo. You get Oubre on the wing, especially combining him with Buddy Hield. There's something the Sixers, I wish they would have done years ago, and get elite shooters who can't really do much else on the outside, like Kelly Oubre, like Buddy Hield, and they were able to do that. And I just love the intensity Kelly Oubre brings. Like Kelly Oubre upset about a call, and he just curses out the officials. I loved it. I loved it. I ate that up so much.
He's all of us.
Awesome. He got fined, and yet you can't do that. Like, you can't really do that.
Don't do it again, but it was fun.
But either way, the intensity he brought to a regular season game without – did Maxey play in that game against the Clippers? I can't remember.
I want to say, at home. He did play in that game. Because I remember Maxey was behind him, like, laughing as he was doing that to the refs.
That's right. You're missing your best player, and still you fight hard against a very good Clippers team, and you just bring this intensity that I don't care who we're missing. It doesn't matter. Like,
go out and get
I love the intensity Kelly Oubre brings. It was that thing when we talked to – I know I commented the one day when you and Dylan were talking about how missing Pat Bev, missing that intensity. Kelly Oubre, especially recently, has really filled that intensity role.
You're not lying.
That kind of like that personality that the Sixers need from a guy who's not going to be that, like what PJ Tucker was, except he scores more than 0 points a game, which is nice. What Pat Bev was, Kelly Oubre is definitely starting to bring that. And, like I said, I'm not expecting Kelly Oubre to score 30 points against the Celtics in the playoffs. But I am expecting him to just I would rather see Kelly Oubre take 8 threes a game and hit 2 or 3 of them than him struggle, take 3 threes, and then stop.
Yeah. No, I agree.
He's one of those guys that just keep shooting, because the more he shoots, if he's good enough at shooting threes, at some point they're going to start falling.
Yeah, and he can get to the rim. He's athletic. Once you can hit 1 or 2 of those threes, that's when the lane opens up and he's able to get to the rim. And we start to see some of those fantastic dunks that he's been putting on display over the second half of this season, man. So I agree. And I think I mentioned the dunk, right? He flushed it left-handed over somebody last night. I can't remember. Might have been Haywood Highsmith, actually, on the fast break. He punched it with the left hand flush. And it's that type of stuff, right? Like when you talk about Pat Bev and Kelly Oubre, they're different in ways, but I do see your point because Oubre brings that dog energy, right? And you see it in the dunks. You see it when he gets a steal. You see it when he gets a deflection. It goes off the other team, and he, points the other way with his arm, right? He has that special pizzazz to add to whatever the Sixers are doing in the moment, and I think it's good because you have Maxey, who's kind of Maxey's a very confident kid. He's just not the most outlandish kid, right? He's a very well-mannered guy. You're not going to see Maxey kind of going off the handle too often. Same thing with Tobias Harris. Joel Embiid's a little bit more wild. He's a little bit more reactive, so I think him and Oubre will get along in that sense. But just having that, like, vocal and just, like, kind of outlandish presence. Like you said, a PJ Tucker, but Oubre can actually score the ball, right?
Yeah.
So, I love what he's brought to this team, man. What is your ideal finish to this season? Like, where would you? Or let me ask it this way. This is a better question. Who would you like to see the Sixers matched up with in the first round, outside of the Boston Celtics? Of course, obviously, we don't want to see them matched up against them. But you got the Bucks, you got the Magic, you got the Cavs right now, all in play for that 2nd and 3 seed. I think the Knicks are in the mix there as well. Where would you kind of look as far as like your most favorable matchup for the Sixers if you had to pick one?
Scotty, I was thinking about it, and you just got to hear me out on this a little bit. Obviously, just looking at who's they're more likely to get through, I want to see the Cavs or the Knicks probably. Yeah. Probably the Knicks. But
no if Julius Randle now.
There is – I was thinking about it. The Sixers are probably going to have to – whoever the Sixers play in the first round, they're probably not going to just roll them over and beat them in 4 or 5. It's probably going to be a long, drawn-out 6-7 game series. Then they're going to either get Boston or Milwaukee, more than likely Milwaukee in the second round. There's a part of me that kind of thinks getting Milwaukee or Boston in the first round, you're going to have to get through at least one of them either way.
Yeah, regardless.
Instead of them coming off of a 4-5 game, no problem, get through series, take them on early when you have one game under your belt. Get them when they're not, as well rested, and just take it on early. Get it out of the way. Like, at the end of the day, does it really? How much of a difference is it going to make to you if they lose in the first or they lose in the second round?
Yeah, like, you're not lying. You're not lying, man. You're not.
At the same time,
that's an interesting point.
Like, I'm 50-50 on it because, there is a part of me that's like, you know what? Let's take on Milwaukee. Let's take on Boston in the first round. Get it over with. Get that matchup through. Then they don't have that well rested after we're coming off of a 6-7 game gauntlet of a series, with tight games left and right. But then there's also the part that's like, do I really want to watch the Sixers go in the first round and potentially get skunked by either of those teams? So maybe it's a two-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword. I would probably say I would want the Knicks in the first round, but I'm not going to sit here and say that there's not going to be a part of me that's okay with the challenge of taking on Milwaukee or Boston in the first round. Yeah,
no, I feel that, and I think the Knicks are interesting. Like the Julius Randle thing makes me a little bit more keen on playing them, I guess. Jalen Brunson, like I want to say this lightly. Like Jalen Brunson intimidates me. I don't want to use the word scare. He intimidates me in a playoff series because I don't know what his ceiling is. If you have Embiid, you should beat the Knicks by all means. You have Embiid, you have Maxey. They should take care of the Knicks, especially without Julius Randle. But there's just something about Jalen Brunson playing against the Philadelphia 76ers in the postseason after he brought so much to Villanova. You know what I mean? There's something weird about that matchup for me that I don't love it. But I would say, honestly, outside of the Cavs, I think the Cavs would probably be the most ideal matchup for the Sixers in the first round. But I would take the Bucks. I would take the Bucks first round, try to get them out of the way. We know Doc Rivers, man. Like, we know his flaws. We know what he does wrong.
I kind of forgot.
I know. I feel that Nick Nurse has an advantage against Doc Rivers when you go to matchup per matchup, you go Embiid versus Giannis. We got to see Embiid get more condition, get back in better shape. But when Embiid is 95, 100%, I'm taking him over Giannis. And then you have Maxey versus Dame, which we'll see what Dame is like in the postseason. I'm not going to sit here and like doubt Dame as he goes on one of these playoff runs. But I would take Milwaukee in the first round. I would be like, I would be okay with that matchup, is what I'm trying to say. To your point, though, man, playing like a Boston or a Milwaukee in the first round, Marshawn, hey, don't be judging my grammar here, okay? my vocabulary. I'm trying to put emphasis or maybe a little less emphasis in it by saying intimidate rather than scared. But you might be right there. And yes, Dylan is looking a lot different this morning.
A little bit younger.
We got Cole on the show, man. This is Marshawn Lynch. He's one of our loyal followers, loyal watchers, I should say, rather. And he's always commented on here, so we definitely appreciate Marshawn Lynch tapping in, man. But yeah, get used to Cole. He's going to be on here a lot more in the coming weeks. So definitely get used to him, meet him, get acquainted.
I know Marshawn.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing.
I remember him from before, and I think he used to watch Phil's show a lot.
He does. Yeah, he still watches trending in the AM still. Yeah, he does.
I do remember Marshawn Lynch.
Man, Cole World, J. Cole dropped a surprise album on us, 12 track album for us today. So today is a pretty great day, I must say. And perfect having you on here, Cole, because it just matches the vibe there.
There you go.
But to your point about playing Boston or Milwaukee in the first round, I thought that's a very good point. And I'm the same as you. I'm not going to go and bang the table and say, give me Boston first round. You know what I mean? Like, that's dumb. But I do think there's a world where you have less wear and tear on Embiid to start the postseason. There's a balance there, right? Like, because there's one side where you can have less wear and tear on Embiid in the first round of the postseason, right? He's just gotten back intertwined with the team. He's just now playing again. So less wear and tear on him. But then the other side of that is that less time to get fully ingrained with his teammates, fully, kind of get on that competitive playoff level in the first round, and then maybe play the Boston Celtics with a little more chemistry with your teammates. So there is both sides to that conversation, but I do get what you're saying, because you know what I think kind of has shaped us into thinking this way? It's the fact that it feels like Embiid gets injured right in the second round or right before the second round each and every season. So if we can just get the hardest team out of the way first while he's healthy, then we'll just take our chances the rest of the way. And I do get that perspective. It's
also
interesting.
Probably losing to the Celtics or the Heat every year in the second round also kind of makes me just want to get it out of the way. Just get it done. That's a big thing for me too. Is
if it's going to happen, let it happen.
Like I said, I'm not going to lose tons of sleep if the Sixers lose in the first round compared to the second round. Like, that's not going to change much for me.
Yeah.
I mean, the only way I would lose more sleep is if the Sixers would get through Milwaukee or Boston and then lose in the second round.
Losing the second round to like the Knicks or to the Magic, right?
That would aggravate me beyond.
That would kill me.
That would be the dagger. That would be the dagger on my beliefs that this team could win a championship, is if they lost in the second round to like the Knicks or the Magic or something.
Yeah, I agree, man. I wholeheartedly agree on that.
For me.
It would be so typical for that to happen. Like, get over that huge hump in the first round. 8 seed beat the let me tone it down. 7 seed beat the Bucks, right? Like, maybe not the 8 seed beat the Celtics. 7 seed beat the number 2 seed Bucks. Then go into the second round and lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Orlando Magic with Paolo Banchero in his first playoff stint, right? So I do agree with you. Before we move to the Phillies, my man, I do want to ask you just one NBA question in general. If you had to pick one favorite to win the NBA championship right now, who would it be?
I mean, like, I don't want to say the Celtics. I'm trying to find any reason not to say the Celtics, but it's so hard because they've been so good.
It's hard, man. They got 60
so
wins.
Unbelievably good.
Yeah.
It's just and they're so well built. I mean,
Porzingis added to that core.
Yes, that Porzingis was a huge thing. Joe Mazzulla is coaching much better than he was
He
last
is.
year.
That's something
I
that's
mean,
kind of gone under the radar. Joe
yeah,
Mazzulla, he's getting
I
better,
would
right?
say out west, the Thunder have the roster too. I just don't think they have the experience.
Too
I
young,
mean,
but they
I
are
think
good.
if I had to predict right now, it would end up being Celtics Nuggets. Like it would suck. It would
Same,
be like I would not be a fan of that championship matchup.
not at
I
all.
may not tune in at no, I probably would still watch just because it's the NBA finals. But
I won't lie to you. If the Nuggets played the Celtics in the NBA Finals, I would probably root for the Nuggets, and
I
that's
probably would too.
I love Joel Embiid and that whole rivalry he's had with Jokic, but it's gotten to the point now where I more just respect Jokic and what he's
Yeah,
doing, and
yeah,
I would rather him win again than the
yeah,
Celtics win anything.
yeah. I
So
mean, yeah, because I just don't want to see the Celtics fans ever happy. Like
yeah,
I
literally
promote their
Boston
misery.
fans in general.
Yeah, like you can win a World Series, that's fine. Red Sox can win a World Series, I don't care.
Yeah,
But the Bruins,
not
no. The
before the
Celtics,
Sixers.
no,
Not
no.
before the Flyers, and the Patriots can stay where they're at as well,
Yeah,
right?
I
Like
mean,
they can stay down below
once
as
we
well.
beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl, I kind of cared a little less about the Patriots winning because we
I
always had
feel
that
you.
one on them.
I
Now
feel
I know
you.
they beat us once, but we kind of evened the playing field on that. Like, hey, we're
Yeah,
one of the only two teams to beat Tom Brady, so in the Super Bowl. So
yeah, and ours meant more to us because it was our first. So
yeah,
at the end
absolutely,
of the
absolutely,
day,
with a backup quarterback.
yeah, we own that. We own that
Yeah,
matchup. But
exactly.
let's switch lanes here, man. Talk a little bit of baseball. You mentioned the Phillies here. So the Phillies are going into a series this weekend against the Washington Nationals. Obviously, the Nationals, they come into this season with low aspirations, low expectations, right? And the Phillies come into this season with high expectations, big expectations for what they need to do this season. Phillies 2-4, Nationals 2-4 to start the season, both on slow starts. Definitely not what we wanted to see, specifically against the Reds, man. I think in that series you want to come away with that one, right? You look at the series against the Braves to start the season. You want to start fast. You would like to start a little bit better. It is the Atlanta Braves at the end of the day. You take it with a little bit of grain of salt to start the season there. Before we get into the matchup for today, I believe Nola's on the mound, right? Yeah, Aaron Nola versus Patrick Corbin on the mounds today. What are your thoughts so far on the Phillies this season? Like, have they been well below your expectations? Like, where are you at with the Phillies right now?
I'm disgusted, Scotty. I've been disgusted. The bullpen has been atrocious. Whoever at MLB Network ranked this the number one bullpen in baseball deserves to be fired instantly. Deserves to be fired. This bullpen, I mean, okay, it's still early, and their bullpen it's been awful. Like there's been 2 of their 4 losses specifically have been on how bad the bullpen has been. Thank God they got rid of Connor Brogdon when they did.
They let him lose him a game or two before they did, they do that beforehand. But yeah, I feel you. It's about time.
Like I saw a clip on I was watching one of the Philly captains' vlogs. It was the game that Connor Brogdon gave up the grand slam in extras, and he was talking. He goes, "Oh, we're going to extras," and someone behind him goes, "Yeah, we just lost. Connor Brogdon's coming in," and that's how I'm feeling, Connor. Like no disrespect to I say no disrespect.
He's a professional, like respect to that, but
yeah. It just was not. He just has not been great. Wheeler has looked solid.
yeah,
15 strikeouts so far this year.
Nola was atrocious in his first start.
I mean, I know he has a loss on the record, but he looked very good against the Braves. Nola, he needs a bounce back game like beyond belief.
Yeah.
I try to cut starters a little more slack because again, Nola pitched one game against the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to sit here and rip him apart. It wasn't a great outing, but the bullpen's got to step up, man. The bullpen's got to step up. That's the biggest thing. Like this is, I don't think they were the number one bullpen in baseball, but I mean, they definitely
to be ranked number one. You should at least be like top 5 or top 10,
this
right?
was supposed to be a really good bullpen. I had big aspirations. 2 guys I've been disappointed with the way they've started the season. One in the pitching is Jose Alvarado.
That's
high aspiration for him this year. Not a great start to the year. Hoping he can turn it around. Again, a guy like Alvarado who's proved himself a little more to me. Over the years, I've given a little more leeway. Johan Rojas. I don't know what's going on with him at the plate. I know, like, he's got to figure it the heck out, though, because it is brutal right now. He's played every game, and he's batting under 100. I think he has 1 hit on the year. He's got to figure it out. I've put my neck out being a Johan Rojas supporter heading into the season, and it's biting me in the butt right now. Other than that, the bats have been okay. Schwarber's had a solid start to the year. I mean, he's hitting 280, which for Schwarber's pretty good. Bryce kind of really redeemed himself with the 3 home run game.
He had a monster game.
A monster game. Other than that, haven't really seen too much. Again, I'm not worried about a guy like Bryce Harper. The guys who I had a little more question marks about heading into the season at the plate. Alec Boehm, he's had a solid start to the year. Nick Castellanos is a guy again who has not. If I'm a pitcher, I'm throwing a slider going outside to Nick Castellanos every single time because he swings at it every single time.
Yeah. It's so annoying, honestly.
It is.
He's, Nick Castellanos, he's such like a cool guy, right? Like his whole persona, everything, and Liam and his kids and stuff. But man, he gets on my nerves. Like he is a top 5 stress maker for me on this Phillies team, honestly. Like, I don't know. I really have lost a lot of confidence when he comes up to the plate, man. Like, I have no confidence. But I know that he has stuff in there. Like, I know that he can get hot. I know that he has it in there. But
for somebody to get on to get on my nerves, they have to have shown flashes of greatness and have like created expectations. And that's what Castellanos has done. He has shown at times, especially through last season, of being a baller. And I'm sure at some point this year, he'll go through a stretch where he's on the money. I mean, they all will. I mean, listen, the way the Phillies team is constructed, it's probably going to be the same thing it's been the last 2 years of we get to Memorial Day, we think the season's over, and then all of a sudden they snap out of it and go on this heater for the summer. When it's hitting weather, the weather's nice, the sun's shining, and Phillies are playing great baseball. Life is amazing. And then Labor Day hits and the end of September is ugly. And then they get to the playoffs and then they're world beaters again. And then at some point they choke in either the World Series or the NLCS. And the bats go cold right when it matters the most. That's probably what's going to happen again this year, if I'm going to be honest. But this team is loaded with talent. I mean, everywhere you look, this team has almost no holes. The only holes right now is the outfield's batting, is the way the outfield has been batting, and that specifically Rojas and Castellanos. Yeah. Again, Rojas, I'm a little, he hasn't proven as much to me over the years, obviously, just because he's younger than Castellanos. I would like to see Whit Merrifield get a little more time in the outfield. Maybe giving Rojas a game off might be the thing. I want to give Pache a chance.
Pache, he's only had one at bat, man. He's only played in 1 game so far, I think.
Brandon Marsh, that's the guy.
He's been on fire. Yeah.
Brandon Marsh, and I've seen it all over the place, and I'm just going to say, too, he is not a platoon player. He's an everyday player. Brandon Marsh is one of the guys this year who has proved his worth. He has been a baller. And I'm sure, again, it's baseball, so at some point he's going to go through a cold stretch. But still, Brandon Marsh has proved defensively and offensively to be an everyday player, and I really hope Rob Thompson rewards that. I don't think the lineup's out yet for today.
I agree with you there, though. I think that's something that me and Dylan talked about last week when he and Stott, I think, got pulled out of the lineup, I believe, against a lefty. And it's just like even Stott as well, right? Like Marsh, Stott, Boehm, all of these guys, I feel, at this point in their careers, they're everyday guys. Now, Boehm isn't one of the guys that's been taken out, but I just group him in with those younger group of guys. But nonetheless, I do agree with you. I think Marsh and Stott specifically need to be out in the lineup each and every game.
Again, the Phillies really can't afford to pull Stott or Boehm because they really don't have another third baseman, so that's kind of why.
Right. There's no lineup out just yet for the Fightins. You are correct.
They released the City Connect jerseys while we're streaming.
Did they? Did they officially release them?
Yeah, they just put it's kind of like, they're actually kind of cool. I'll try to get a picture real quick of them. They're pretty cool. They're kind of like the Eagles' old like blue and yellow, but it's a less ugly blue and less yellow. They're actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw previews of them. So it is like the rumored ones, right?
Yeah, it's the rumored ones here. This is the I can't do it here. send it to you real quick, and then you can pop it up if you would like. But yeah, it's what you thought it was going to be. It's the rumored Connect.
And are they wearing those tonight? Is that the
I don't
plan?
know if they're wearing them tonight. I don't know, or they just released them today. But yeah, they're the rumored ones. They're like the navy, like dark blue, kind of with a little bit of yellow in them. So they're what we expected them to be. Oh, I gotta do it on my phone.
Nice.
Like,
Nice
there's
little
not really any
surprise
yellow in
element
it.
for
There's like a hint of yellow, just more to add that city, because it's like supposed to be based off the city flag.
Right,
Which
right.
I wish they would have done something with the throwback look a little more, and they got rid of the red for it. There you go. I can just send it to you.
Did you send it to me on?
Yeah, I just texted it to you. But yeah. So yeah, pulling Marsh and Stott, just not a huge fan of that. I get, guys need rest days, but these guys are young, man. You're pulling the young guys, like you're pulling the young dogs. Like, why are you giving these 23-year-olds? Like, I mean, trust me, I know these guys are professional athletes at 23 years old. Like, you can't really be pulling them like you are. I mean, these aren't the guys you should be pulling. So I'm assuming today he's not going to do that because they had the day off yesterday. So I'm sure they're going to play the entire game that they're going to play today, as long as no injuries or anything. But nonetheless, that was something else I was confused with. But the bullpen's been the most disappointing part to me. Bullpen has definitely been the most disappointing part to me about these guys with the Phillies so far this year has been the bullpen.
Yeah.
And Castellanos and Rojas.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. And I think when you look at it from that perspective, I'm trying to get this picture pulled up. I'm going to let it ride, guys. You guys can go out and see it on Twitter. StreamYard's giving me a hell of a time here getting this uploaded. So we'll move on from that. But I do agree with you overall regarding the weak points so far for the Phillies this season. And I think they're very apparent so far as well. The first one I'll touch on that you mentioned is Rojas. And I'm not trying to pick on him or anything like that. It's just when you're given nothing at the plate, let's try something different. And it might be good for both sides if you do so, right? Like, it's not to move him out of the lineup for good. It's nothing like that. He's a young guy. He's going to be able to get worked back into the lineup. But just see if Pache can give you something better. See if Merrifield, if you give him 2 or 3 games in a row, can he give you something a little bit better or more consistent? Because at the end of the day, man, I think it gets misconstrued sometimes because obviously we want to grow our young players, but this is a championship-ready team. This is a team that's contending for something bigger than just growth and development, right? Yep. And I think when you get to that point and you look around at some of the lineups like the Dodgers, some of the lineups like the Braves, you do need, when the postseason comes around, it's not that you need somebody that's just going to light you up from the 9-hole, right? But you need somebody that's going to give you a little pop here and there, somebody that can make a play here and there. Maybe it's one play in the postseason from the plate. That's what you're looking for in the 9-hole, in my opinion, for this Phillies roster. And just not sold that Rojas can give you that. But try Pache, try Merrifield, and then try Rojas again, right? Yeah. Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying to throw Rojas out like he's garbage. It's not like that.
He's not old either. So like you said, this doesn't have to be like, oh, this is the end of your career. He's 23 years old.
Yeah.
Like, guy's 23 years old trying to play, like playing in the MLB. Like, he does, like, this is how homegrown talent works. You see it all the time. Guys get sent up. It doesn't work out. They get sent back down. I'm not even saying send him back down because I felt like last year he kind of earned that spot of being on this roster.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, you gotta give the guy, like, give him a game or two just to, maybe see things a little bit differently. Like, sometimes it's just, sometimes some guys they just need to step back and just watch the game and, and just get a little bit better of an idea, because he's great defensively, and we've seen what he can do at the plate. We saw when he came up last year, but yeah, it's been a rough start for my boy Johan Rojas. I'm hoping I really do hope he turns around, him and Castellanos, because I love both of them. They're both
I love both of them.
fun
We love
players.
the team, man. It's
like,
just
that's the thing. This Phillies team is so lovable. It gets more lovable every year, but at the same time, it's like this is a championship team. We've gotten close the last 2 years. I do not want to sit there in October and get my heart broken again. Like I don't.
Because I do agree with you. This team is lovable. I think everybody they're ready to get back on the wagon. You know, once spring came around, everybody was ready after that dismal finish to the Eagles season. They were ready to hop back on that Phillies wagon. And I do find it interesting because I do wonder, how long does that last? Like, how long does it last that they're this lovable, you know, friendly, cool team that we fall in love with? We hop on the wagon whenever they're ready. Until they flounder out in the postseason, right? And mind you, they've made it farther than the Sixers in a sense, right? Because the Sixers are that team. You have Embiid, you have the MVP guy. Last year you had Harden, right? You had Maxey, all-star potential in a player, right? And they go out in the same spot in the postseason. And I think we've seen that with the Sixers, and maybe from my perspective as like I want to call myself I don't know if I'm a bigger Sixers fan or a bigger Phillies fan. I actually don't know right now. Yeah. I wanted to call myself I'm a bigger basketball fan, right? I love the sport of basketball more than baseball. That's the best way to put it for me.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I don't watch baseball. I'll watch a game here and there, but most of the time I'm not sitting down to watch a baseball game unless the Phillies are on. I sit down and watch basketball.
I agree.
All the time.
I'm not sitting down watching like the Dodgers play the Mets or something. I'm not watching like another game outside of the Phillies.
Unless I put some cheddar on it, like that's the only way.
Yeah,
that's the only way I'll sit there. Is if my boys are sitting there like, oh, let's bet the over. I'm like, all right, let's do it. Then I'm watching.
Let's do it. Let's ride.
But and I'll watch the playoffs and the World Series. Although I didn't watch the World Series last year, I couldn't bring myself to it.
No,
but I think Scotty, you know, and I guess from what I've noticed, and I've talked to people that like who live in the city, who grew up in the city. You know, I'm not from Philly, so technically, so it is. Maybe I might be a little off here, but this is a football city. The Eagles are the favorite team here. There's no denying that. No matter what anybody says, the Eagles are the favorite team here.
Yeah,
it's kind of split between the Flyers and the Sixers when it comes to the winner. But there is nothing like the Phillies being good. The Phillies are probably the most loved team, if that makes sense.
I agree.
Because you know how many Eagles fans
love no matter what, right? Yeah. Like, is that kind of what you mean? Like, loved unconditionally.
Even when the
Phillies
the
Eagles are like, the Eagles always have such high expectations that it can be love and hate with the Eagles.
And I also still sit on my theory that nobody hates the Eagles more than Eagles fans. And I think I'm part of that too. Like, I know tons of Eagles fans that hate the Eagles. Like, it's kind of just how it works with the Eagles. Especially
after last season. I mean, the second half of that season was enough to make you dislike some of these players, man. So I do agree with you. TR says that he doesn't think the Phillies are championship ready this season. He says the pitching is super suspect. He's not even talking about hitting. Yeah, the hitting has been up and down so far this season, but you can count on the hitting getting better, right? Like, you have the big bats in the lineup. That's not a worry. Even with Rojas' struggles at the bottom of the lineup, that lineup is still fucking stacked, right? So it's not the hitting. It really is, it really is that pitching staff that you mentioned earlier, man. And it's really not the starters. I mean, outside of Nola, the other, 4 starters or 3 starters have been pretty solid in their starts. Yeah, I get it, TR. I do. The only thing I would say to counter that comment, just about saying they're not championship ready this season, the only thing I would say is that last season, I didn't think the pitching staff was ready. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't think that they were great last year either. But maybe they overachieved a little bit last season. But I didn't see the greatness in the bullpen last year, although they were pretty solid. And so what I'm trying to get at is maybe they come around, right? Maybe you get an O'Kirkring back, right? And that helps. And you add some more pieces mixed in there. And some guys get off the schneid, like Alvarado, right? That's a guy that we've been able to count on, especially in the postseason in the last few years. So there is upside, right? And it brings me to today with Aaron Nola against the Washington Nationals, man, this is a must win for Aaron Nola. Like, not just the Phillies. It's a must win, he must have a great performance today against the Washington fucking Nationals after he gets that contract this offseason. He has to, man, because not for me. Like, I'm a Nola guy. I like Nola. I do. I really do.
One of the few homegrown players the Phillies have. Like,
exactly. He's got to be a favorite, and you want him to succeed. He's just so damn annoying with the ups and downs, and the downs are just so low. The lows are the lowest of lows. And that's what I don't want to see him fall into, because if you have a shitty outing today against the Washington Nationals, man, you're digging yourself a hole, not only with the team and your performance, but with the fan base as well. The fan base is going to be on his neck if he comes out and plays like shit today, man.
Yeah, no, 100% agreed. Nola's he's going to have a good outing, or it's going to be an ugly one for the Louisiana kid. It is going to be an ugly one. He's one of the few homegrown talents, so everybody wants him to be good.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that stuck with the Phillies when it was ugly. I know, like I said, the Phillies are they're the baby of the Philadelphia sport. They do, even when they do wrong, we still love them. Obviously the Eagles are like the older brother. We're always disappointed. And the Sixers and the Flyers, they're like the middle child that gets overlooked because, well, again, they play during the winter and nobody likes winter. I still love them. Don't get me wrong. We still love them. But
yeah, I do agree, though. I think the process here is, I think it could have broken a piece of the fan base off too, man. You build a diehard fan base over years, and there's a lot of like bandwagons and fair weather fans mixed in with those diehard fans as well. And then sometimes those bandwagon or fair weather fans, they become diehard fans as well. Yeah. That didn't happen before Embiid came too, right?
It's also a little bit harder with that basketball, hockey sharing a season, especially in a city with
attention,
such a rich culture in both. The Broad Street Bullies, the AIs, the Dr. J's. There's such a big culture of basketball and hockey, and this isn't like, I wouldn't say this is a hockey or basketball city like between the two. It's very evenly split. So I think that's where it comes more from the fact of they kind of get pushed to the side a little bit because, there's only football on and everybody loves football. And then there's baseball and it's summer and it's just every Philly loves their Phillies. So I think that's where it comes from. The Flyers and the Sixers kind of split a little bit. So
yeah, no, I think that's a great point as well. When you look at the grand scheme of Philly sports, it's like, they do split, and pretty much whichever team is performing better in that season is the team that's going to get the attention. Because I would honestly go, I would stretch and say the Flyers have upticked in like content, like being talked about on the radio, all of that since Embiid went down, right? And the Sixers lose all the hope in the world, right?
The Flyers also have been abysmal the last 2 years, and nobody even wanted to think about them. Yeah, and they actually have been respectable this year and have put together a pretty solid season.
Yeah, they're a fun team now, and that's exciting, man. We'll have to get you back on here to talk some Flyers as we approach the postseason, man. But let's round out here. Well, let me ask you this before we move on to the Birds and talk a little Reddick and Mailata here. Do the Phillies get a W tonight?
I'm never gonna pick the Nationals over the Phillies. Give me the Phillies, baby. Come on. The Nationals, please. Who do they have? Who's gonna get the job done for the Nationals?
Patrick
Juan Soto. Oh wait, he doesn't play for them anymore. Josh Bell. That's right, he left too. Anthony Rendon. Oh, he's not there. Bryce Harper. Oh wait, he's on our side. Yeah, come on now. Give me the Phillies.
Come on. We need a W, and I would like a comfortable W as well, man. That would be nice. We haven't had too many of those this season. I think we beat the Braves once. That was a closer game, and then we did blow out the Reds in that three home run Bryce Harper game, grand slam game. But those are the only 2 wins this season, so need to start stacking them. But yeah, let's talk some Birds, man. I haven't honestly gotten a chance, even with Dylan, to talk about the Haason Reddick trade yet. I'll throw it to you first. I got to sit here and figure out my thoughts on it, honestly, because I'm still so in between on the trade myself. What were your initial thoughts, and have you kind of changed those initial thoughts since the Haason Reddick trade.
Haason Reddick wasn't what he was 2 years ago last year. He definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
I know football more than any other sports, careers kind of come at you fast.
Yeah.
When a guy doesn't perform, it's time to go. Like you don't get you can't, especially if you're not a quarterback, you don't get away as much with one bad year. I don't like the trade in itself. I think we definitely could have got more. I think he was more valuable than that, but he wanted an extension. I don't think he was going to get one in time for what he wanted.
Yeah.
At the money he wanted.
Yeah.
Sweat. I mean, I know you guys talked about. He's obviously played better than Josh Sweat, but it really is going to depend on. Though. It really is going to depend on what Bryce Huff does.
Yeah,
I really think that's going to impact how I feel about the trade. If Bryce Huff and Josh Sweat both have good, solid years, it is what it is. I don't think it's as make or break as people think. And great point by TR. It was a business decision. Howie Roseman made a business decision. I'm very interested to see what they do in the draft. I think now with the Avonte Maddox signing, they might. I mean, they're going to draft the offensive line in the first round. But I think they're going to go line. They're going to go an edge rusher probably in the third or fourth. I still think they go offensive lineman and then they go linebacker. I'm still looking at Jeremiah Trotter Jr. in the second round. I'm praying for that. So nonetheless, I don't hate the trade. At first, I was upset, obviously, because nobody wanted to see Haason Reddick go. But
I'm wondering if this is an earthquake right now. My house is rumbling right now, dude.
Oh, I'm chilling over here. I mean, I'm not.
I don't know. I don't know.
That was crazy.
Live
my wife is in the room because our house is shaking, dude. I've never seen that
really
happen before. I'm watching my poppets, their heads are bobbing. I'm what the hell is going on? Hey, I never experienced an earthquake before. Yeah, my pup's scared. He came in the room. Oh, you want to come on the show?
Oh, there you go. Doggy time.
Earthquake, man. But
doggy time.
No, that was crazy. But yeah, no, back to Haason Reddick. Nonetheless, that scared me a little bit. I agree with your point. Purely a business decision. I do wonder. I've come around since the instant reactions. Instant reactions, I was a little upset. Mind you, I bought the Kelly Green Haason Reddick jersey last year, so that's part of it. It's part
I
hate
of buying it. Football jerseys, man. I hate buying football jerseys.
I'm done, man. I think I'm done. I got the Jalen Hurts jersey. Let me just stop. He'll be here at least. I would hope.
I got Jalen Hurts and I got Devontae Smith.
I bought Carson Wentz. I bought 2 Carson Wentz jerseys. Gone.
Oof.
Wasted money, right? So.
I feel
football is just wild, man. But it was a purely a business decision. I do agree with your point. Haason Reddick. The question becomes him versus Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat was willing to take a little bit of a pay cut in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Haason Reddick obviously was not. He wanted a pay increase. And so when I start to analyze Haason Reddick and the money that he wants, not the player that he is, the money that he wants would be for a player like Micah Parsons or a TJ Watt or a Myles Garrett, those type of game-breaking players. All due respect to Haason Reddick, he was one of my favorites. I think he was a fan favorite in general, especially being from the area, Camden. But at the end of the day, you have to be realistic with who you are. And we watched him last season in the second half of the season disappear. He was part of that.
Yeah.
What else did we watch in the Super Bowl, man? I know the field was tore up. I know it was not the best conditions. Chris Jones had a sack in the Super Bowl against the Eagles.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, Pat Mahomes went 15 for 15 in the second half.
Come on. He was part of that.
And if Scotty, if he would have had a repeat of his 2022 season, I would have said give him the money.
He would have gotten it.
Give him the money. He would have got the money. Josh Sweat would have been on his way.
That being said.
But he didn't. He fell apart in the second half of the season, just like a lot of this defense. And he wasn't willing to take the pay cut for it.
Yeah.
And not even take a pay cut, just wait, play his contract out. And he wasn't
play it out. that was the big thing for me, and I think that's what I've come to realization over the last few days was that he must not have been willing to play that contract out.
He couldn't have.
Right? Because we're trying to win a Super Bowl. So, like, using a 1-year rental and then getting a comp pick that's basically the same as the pick you got for him anyways would probably be a little more ideal, I would imagine. But to your point, we basically traded Bryce Huff. We traded Haason Reddick for Bryce Huff and a third or second round pick, whatever it was that we got for Haason Reddick.
I still think I don't think Josh Sweat or Haason Reddick's going to suck to the point where he doesn't play.
Yeah.
He's going to play. It's going to end up being a second, and we're going to – I mean, it really depends on what Bryce Huff does. It really is going to on what him and Josh Sweat – I don't expect them to, necessarily, have 40 sacks combined or, whatever, something crazy. Yeah. But I'm expecting them to, make an impact. I'm expecting them, 20 sacks combined, 25 sacks combined.
It's like, exactly. It's more of that, like, combined unit. Like, if you can – spend a little bit less, right? You get rid of Haason Reddick. You spend less for Bryce Huff. You spend less for Josh Sweat. You have Nolan Smith. You have BG. Then maybe you bring in one more edge rusher in the draft, right, to kind of stockpile guys that you can rotate in and out. And all of a sudden, that rotation of edge rushers is still looking really good. And I think Howie's just showing us the model. Like, he went out and he got Bryce Huff, right, for a little bit less. This is Bryce Huff's first big contract, kind of similar to Javon Hargrave in a sense, right? We brought him in. We paid a little bit of money for Javon Hargrave, but it was nothing close to what he got once he left, right, to go to San Fran. And I think that could be something similar we're seeing with Bryce Huff here. So I do agree with you overall. I think I've kind of moved off my ill feelings towards it and just kind of moved into more of a neutral.
The mistake the Eagles made last offseason was they let their two best tacklers on defense go. They let T.J. Edwards go and they let Chauncey Gardner-Johnson go. Yep. They went out and got one of the exact same guys back. And I know losing T.J. Edwards probably hurt a little more, but they went out and they got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back. Then they went out and they got a top 3 running back in the NFL. And they went out and they got a young edge rusher. They got younger on the defensive side of the ball. And that was the biggest thing. They got younger. I'm really suspect about those corners still. Really worried about the corners still. And it's not that I don't think they're good enough. It's just father time gets to everybody, especially in football.
Yeah.
Darius Slay's not getting any younger. James Bradbury's not getting any younger. Monte Maddox isn't getting any younger. They didn't improve the corner situation, and that scares me a little bit. But, I mean, we'll see. We'll have to see.
Hey, maybe they draft one as well, right? And free agency isn't over as well, right? There's still plenty of guys out there. Real quick before we get out of here, Cole. Real quick thoughts on the Jordan Mailata extension. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you like it?
Love it. This team is built in the offensive line. This team is built in the trenches. This team is built between their front seven and their offensive line. That's how the Eagles have been built since Howie Roseman got here. Yep. And that's where they found their most success has been when they have a dominant offensive line and a dominant front seven. Yep. And they went out there and they got one of the best, and they kept it, and they're going to keep him around for 3 more years. It brings some security into what felt like we felt like we were a little insecure on the offensive line. Yep. We knew Jason Kelsey just retired. Lane Johnson's only got a couple years, if not just one left in him. So to go out there and get Jordan Mailata and Landon Dickerson locked down for a couple of years, it definitely felt good. It
did, yeah. That's a great point, throwing Landon Dickerson into the mix as well. You got your whole entire left side of the offensive line locked in for the future. And that's huge, because you look at the way the line is currently constructed, it's basically been that way, but on the right side for a very long time, right?
Yeah.
So that's definitely something to look forward to. Jordan Mailata, great personality, great entertainer on the team, as well as great left tackle. So it was definitely great to see him get locked in and renewed and re-signed here. The next one, the elephant in the room is Devontae Smith, right? Like that's the one that ultimately
get that down. You don't want to lose your weapons.
Yeah,
this offense is going to be too good. You don't want to lose any piece of it. You got your tight end, you got your star receiver. Now you got to lock down your number 2.
Yep, I completely agree with you, man. So shout out to Jordan Mailata getting the paper. Unfortunately, Haason Reddick couldn't get the paper from us. Hopefully, he gets it from the New York Jets. To be clear, I'm glad he went to the Jets. I'm glad he went somewhere where I can root for him, kind of still.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, I can root for him to do well. He's not on the division rival. He's not in the same conference. Okay, yeah. TR says there was an earthquake. Yeah. And I'm having like a sweat, like I'm like breaking down, sweating right now too. So I don't know if I'm just nervous
Well,
from the earthquake.
Thankfully, it was in it's in Philadelphia, so it probably wasn't a massive one. I'm sure. I mean, your house didn't fall apart, which is
It didn't fall apart. It just shook a little. The bobblehead shook. So I mean, nothing crazy, but damn, the world's changing, I guess.
Yep.
You know, I haven't had an earthquake. I don't remember having an earthquake on the East Coast, at least where I lived, since 2011, man.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's the one time I think I remember. The only one I remember in my entire life was
same.
2000. I know I was gonna say I remember I was little and there was a tiny one.
Yeah, it was tiny. It was completely
because I remember
tiny.
It was big. It wasn't it like big in like Virginia and DC, and it just like tunneled all the way over to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, CTR remembers as well, man.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Like, wow, an earthquake in the East Coast. That's incredible. But that's gonna be it for this episode of the Phaithful Fanatic. Cole, thank you for joining me, my man. I look forward to doing this more regularly with you in the future, brother. So definitely happy to have you back here on the team, and definitely happy to get your thoughts on the show today, man. Let's go Fightins today. Let's get a W. Let's get on the right side of things. But guys, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button on the video. Let us know that you like the content, and give us a follow on Twitter as well, or X at DSM_media. But yes, be sure to head over to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, and help us grow the community there. Guys, that's going to be it for this episode of Phaithful Fanatic. You all have a great Friday and have a great rest of your weekend. It should be a good one. The weather's getting better. Yes. And peace, Cole.
Yeah.